all people do not realize how much money you can make off a cash-based business like produce. And this is a disappearing,
Hmm.
business. This is a disappearing trade in the US, these farm stands, roadside stands.
Welcome to Biz Help for You, the show that saves you the expensive learning curve by providing advice from industry experts in every facet of the entrepreneurial journey. Too many small businesses collapse. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 20% fail within their first year, and less than 35% make it to their 10th anniversary. The goal of this podcast is to change that statistic. So if you're interested in learning more to be a successful entrepreneur, tune in today.
Let me tell you a little bit about my guest today. Shannon Houchin is an award-winning journalist and published author who transitioned into copywriting and marketing. With 20 years of experience in marketing agency work, she partnered with her son Finn to establish Roadside Republic, a successful roadside pop-up shop business specializing in peach sales. Shannon created a replicable and profitable business blueprint aimed at helping families reclaim their schedules and boost their income. Through the Roadside Republic Academy, she provides a comprehensive guide for entrepreneurs, especially those without prior experience, to start and run profitable roadside pop-up shops. You can learn how to create a successful and flexible business model that combines traditional sales with modern marketing techniques. Shannon's approach offers insights into achieving financial independence, effective branding, and customer engagement, making it a valuable resource for anyone looking to venture into small business ownership. So Shannon, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Candy, for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm looking forward to this conversation. It's going to be a little bit different than what I've had before, just because of who you work with. But I know that the information can be applied, on a broader spectrum. But before I get into questions I have for you, I'd first love for you to share, how did you even become involved with marketing pop-up shops?
Yeah, so it was an interesting segue. At the time in my life, this was 2012, 2013, I was going through a transition. I had been in I was a journalist and a copywriter for a long time, and our family had a software development business. And things were winding down. I was going through a divorce. My dad was really sick. He passed away. So it was like one of those pivotal,
Mm-hmm.
life transformational moments. And I decided I wanted to do something that was completely different, something that was very tangible, very hands-on, and something that I could do with my son. So when he
Mm-hmm.
was home for the summers, we could spend time together. And I had this friend for years who kept telling me about his peach stand business. And Shannon is such a great moneymaker. It's a great business to get into with your kids because they learn entrepreneurial skills at the same time they're earning money, right, for college tuition. And so finally, during that period, I listened to him and I went to South Carolina and I took Finn, my son, and my partner with me, who was 10 at the time. And we
Mm-hmm.
spent a whole summer learning the business. And I've never looked back. It has been that business for so long now. And I think because it is so flexible, it is so forgiving, it is so scalable. It's like freedom, in a little 10 by 10 tent. And it's
Mm-hmm.
an ATM machine at the same time. So it's hit all of my boxes. It's ticked all of my requirements for the last decade. And now Finn and I are adding so many different business segments and we're partners. So it's still this vehicle for me to do everything I want and get to be with my son who's now 21.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, in the bio, I believe I said you have this blueprint that you created. So I would love for you maybe to just give a little bit of an overview of what that blueprint really is.
Yeah. So, how the blueprint got started with my background in the software business, I was into logistics. I was
Mm.
basically the operations officer, and so I came to this pop up shop endeavor with this entire logistics background. And I decided, in my fashion, as I always do, I'm not going to do anything small. I'm going to do it big. And so, instead of starting with one roadside stand or peach stand or pop up shop, I started with 100. And
Oh
so
my.
I wanted to see how
Mm-hmm.
scalable the business actually was. I wanted to test it. And that's what I did. I did 100 pop-up shops, 100 peach stands in a single summer. And it generated massive amounts, of course, of cash flow and revenue. But what was so interesting is the flexibility, the elasticity of the business. You can
Hmm.
do one stand or you can do 100. It's the same business blueprint. And that's how I arrived at that. It's the same blueprint over and over and over again. It really doesn't change, but it's flexible enough that you can change it. You can hang different business segments off of it. You can run online sales, you can do delivery, you can do shipping. I mean, there's all kinds of cool stuff you can do with it. You can develop proprietary products. So
Hmm.
that was the reason I decided to go big and see how forgiving and flexible it was. And then what evolved out of that business blueprint was that this was a vehicle to employ lots of people, simultaneously. I think that year we got started, we probably had 300 people that were running these roadside stands over the course of the summer. And then what I also learned, just accidentally, was I was teaching people off, on the fly, how to do this for themselves. There were
Hmm.
so many families that came to us and said, "Oh my gosh, this is a great moneymaker. I have 3 kids. We want to take a Disney vacation, but we don't have, 5 grand. I have 3 kids and I haven't saved anything for college. My kid wants a new car." So people had all of these financial goals, and a pop-up shop served that purpose. So
Hmm.
then I was teaching people one-on-one how to do this for their family with this, replicable business model. And so, we had 300 people who were contractors, setting their own hours, running their own stands. We were teaching families how to do this. We were doing it ourselves all at the same time. So that's what I mean about it being so elastic and so flexible and so
Hmm.
forgiving. You can make this business blueprint fit your needs. We're so used to, as 9 to 5ers, having to fit the needs of the job or of
Hmm.
that opportunity, but this opportunity fits you. And so
Hmm.
that's what I discovered. And that's why it's just this beautiful, a freedom machine, ATM machine that allows, my little family to accomplish all of our goals.
Hmm. Well, someone might be listening though and thinking, well, that doesn't necessarily sound like it is really going to be a moneymaker because, it's hard to sell. You've got this little stand. You have to get people, to your location. You have to have the product, picked, ready to go. You know what I mean? Like there's all these things that go into it. So how is it that you could even make that a profitable business? And how do you really get the word out to people outside of your just close little region, that you have your little pop-up that they can come to you and, buy the merchandise that you have?
I always describe this business, pop-up shops, to be low risk, high reward. And in that low risk includes low capital investment. You can start a pop-up shop for $200.
Mm,
You can start a pop-up shop with no business background, with no entrepreneurial skills. You can learn, on the job. That's why it's so forgiving. So and the rewards are almost unimaginable. Most people do not realize, I would say all people do not realize how much money you can make off a cash-based business like produce. And this is a disappearing,
mhm,
business. This is a disappearing trade in the US. These farm stands, roadside stands, pop-up shops, thankfully, are experiencing this revitalization. I'm seeing them all
mhm,
over the US. People are using the pop-up shop experience to attract customers. And it's like shop local, shop small. And so you'll have 50 to 100 vendors who all specialize in something different, something wonderful, setting up on a Friday evening and selling stuff. So there's
mhm,
there's that venue type opportunity. How I got started was legit, roadside farm stands. And so what happens with that is that one of the reasons it's so forgiving and it's so low risk is that 80% of your clientele is impulse. So
mm,
you don't have to have social media. You don't have to
mm,
have print advertising. You don't have to tell a single soul that you're doing this business. If you locate in an area with high visibility and high traffic, and this is something I teach to all of the people who work with me, how to discover that, you will get a lot of business because 80% of the traffic is impulse. There is this collective memory in the American psyche that is so nostalgic and so sentimental for roadside stands. All you have to have is a sign that says
Mhm.
tomatoes or
Mhm.
peaches, and people's eyeballs, they attract it, and they will turn around and they will come back. So you
Mhm.
just have to have high visibility and signage. That's it. You can build your social media presence, you can build marketing and advertising, but you will make money just by being physically visible to motorists.
Mhm.
Getting produce and understanding the jurisdiction you're in is probably the two most challenging things people have. Do I need a license? Do I need a permit?
Mhm.
How do I find my produce? And all of those things are super easy also. It's just a little bit of research, a little bit of questioning. And
Mhm.
you can uncover the people who work with us, since we've done this all over the US now. We pretty much know all the ins and outs of all of the states, and we can arrive at these answers very quickly. But
Mhm.
there's not a state in the US where you are prohibited from doing this type of business. It can be done everywhere, and there's produce everywhere, and you don't even have to sell perishables.
Mhm.
A lot of people in pop-up markets are selling jewelry, t-shirts,
Right.
hats, jam jelly, honey, cutting boards. I mean, you name it, people are selling it, and they're being very successful. So it is so forgiving that you can learn on the job, and the barrier to entry very low. And
Mhm.
that's why it's so easy and so forgiving. You're not going to harm yourself, you're not going to lose a lot of money. You're not going to make, mistakes that you cannot recover from. Everything you can work out, you can fix, you can recover, and you can be profitable.
Mhm. Right. Like what we do too in my company is help businesses be in compliance, whether it's, paying payroll correctly or sales tax or all of that stuff too. So it's true. Like you might have an assumption in your mind that I don't need a business license for this, or I don't need sales tax, or I don't, but you do have to look at that jurisdiction that you're in because rules are different in different locations as well too. So definitely check that out, if you're going to be doing this. Um,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
so is there anything you recommend though? Because you said 80% is kind of that impulse buy. I assume, people traveling, they see the sign, they're like, ooh, I want to stop, but there is that 20% you said that isn't. So are those typically repeat customers that know about them that come, because every week you have, a farmer's market or you have your stand, 7 days a week and we know you're here. Is there something they could do to continue that relationship with them so that they do want to continue to come back?
Yes, the easy way to get started is exactly as I described. Just count on 80% of your traffic being impulse traffic, and then
Mhm.
once you're in a location or you're in a market and you're consistently showing up to provide service and quality products, people will repeat. I mean, it's one of those cash-based businesses where it's always in demand, right? People are always looking for fresh produce, for example.
Mhm.
So it's highly in demand. So the repeat customer, the likelihood that it will be a repeat customer is very high. And it's very easy to build a presence on social media these days. And if you have a business like fresh produce where you are advocating for local farms and you're locally sourcing products, right, with growers and orchards and farms, the local consumer customer base feels like they are doing their part to shop with you. So,
Mhm.
everybody wants to advocate and support local farms, for example. And what we do is when we work with local farms, we tell the story. So we bring, for example, peaches and Pecos cantaloupe into our stand. Well, we tell the consumer the story of the farm, of that
Mhm.
product, of that cantaloupe, so that there's a connection from the farm to us, to the consumer. Now, the consumer feels very loyal, and they become raving fans because they're supporting local. And so they will return over and over again because we provide that vehicle for them to support the local farms, because they may not know how to
Mhm.
get it from a local farm. It may not be available. It has to go through a reseller like us. And
Mhm.
so, from that perspective, it's really easy to develop a raving fan base and you can do it so quickly. It's surprising how quickly people follow us, within a 50-mile radius. They see that we may be popping up over here, and they'll drive 30 minutes just to come find
Mhm.
us so that they can get the products that we have and engage with the service that we offer. And
Mhm.
so over time, you can develop, an email list. You can develop a large social media following. And that's how you sustain yourself from year to year to year. You just grow your customer base, and you're
Mhm.
adding every year, you're adding another, 80% of new people. Heck, it may be even higher than that, but you're always building your list of customers, and so
Mhm.
they will repeat. And so we do a ton of local social media. We do email marketing. We have big email marketing campaigns to always let people know what we have, where we are. We do run small ads now. Since my background is in that, I run a lot of meta ads to get to additional people who may not know of our online ordering. Since we've expanded now, we offer online ordering and shipping and delivery. So that's
Mhm.
something else to increase our customer base. So it's very easy to grow, surprisingly so.
Right. Well, and one of the things you said is that there's a low barrier to entry, right? And I do know a lot of times when people start businesses, they don't always know like what they don't know, and financial issues can be one of those things, right? So, what would you say to the entrepreneur about how they can manage the financial side of their business and avoid those pitfalls that they, may not be aware of?
Yes, I would say that one of the things that you simply have to learn through experience, so learning on the job, would be understanding the demand of the products that you have so that you're not caught out with having a ton of inventory and low sales.
Mhm.
And that's something
Mhm.
you do just simply have to learn on the job. We can all do the best to try to forecast it, but until you're actually doing it, you have no idea. And I always encourage people start on the low side. Don't, it's better to sell out than to be
Mhm.
sitting with boxes of product, in your tent that you haven't sold. Selling out is actually a great marketing strategy because, it creates a sense of urgency. It creates scarcity. And so
Mhm.
doing that is a great way to kind of get yourself through the learning curve until you can estimate what your inventory levels should be, and then how to turn products in a timely manner so that you're not, so a bunch of your profit is not sitting in inventory, for example.
Right.
And that's something that we talk a lot about to the people who work with us, how to forecast sales so that you are turning. It's so fortunate within produce, right? You have such a short amount of time to turn it anyway before it goes
Mhm.
bad. And so you're looking at this very short window of like 3 days. At the outside, you're looking at maybe 4 days. And so you're turning products very quickly. And so the amount of capital that you invest is smaller than, say, somebody with hard goods, if it's jewelry or, notebooks or coloring books
Mhm.
or whatever. How to estimate that, keep yourself to where you are cash flow positive. And one of
Right.
the things that we have created, I had to create everything from scratch. I mean, general business practices still apply to a pop up shop business for sure, but there weren't any resources or tools to help me predict how to sell produce, for example, inside a pop up shop. So I created our own cash flow reports so that we can see every single day, because the turn is so short on this business, every single day how to forecast and know where you are in your cash flow, because you always, want to stay cash flow positive.
Mhm.
And then we created our own P&L statements so that we can see how we're doing, because some within a pop-up shop business, that freedom factor comes into play. You may only want to do your pop-up shop during the summer. That's what we've
Mhm.
done for 11 years. We've just done a 3 or 4 month window of business, and then we're done the rest of the year. We're changing that this year, but that's what we have always done. And so your P&L, it's going to be a little bit different because you have a short window to conduct business. Some folks are only doing business on the weekend, so it's a part-time gig for them. Now, some people may want to do 10 months out of the year or 12 months out of the year, whatever it can be. That's the freedom factor of it.
Mhm.
And so understanding if you're only working 3 months out of the year, what your revenue levels should be in order to sustain you for the next 8 months, for example.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
created all these resources and tools so I could do that for myself. And now I shared those resources and tools for other people.
Right. Well, it's definitely important to understand because that is a big factor in having a successful business. And you talked about, cash flow and, of course, looking at the profit and loss. And people don't always understand the differences between cash flow and profit. And, sometimes it's probably better to maybe not have the profit, but still bring in the money, like selling at a discount or something like that, too. So, do you want to talk about maybe when they have to make those decisions of, how they're changing their pricing so they can still generate the revenue?
Yes. I was just thinking about this today. Three things that make a pop-up shop, and it doesn't matter, in my opinion, what they sell, very successful. There's like three ingredients, and the number one ingredient is authority. So you, as a pop-up shop, whatever products you're selling, you want the consumer to assume that you are the authority on crystal pendants,
Mm.
candles, sourdough bread, peaches, whatever it is. You are that authority. So you have to portray yourself, and convince the consumer that you are that. Um, you want to charge what it's worth. If you are
Mhm.
the authority and you are the expert, then you're never competing with a grocery store chain or a big
Mhm.
box retailer or even the pop-up shop next door. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we show up to a market, and I just love this. There will be other produce vendors there, and I'm like, that's great. It's I don't consider other people competition. I actually consider other produce vendors an asset because there's
Mhm.
more opportunity to draw right foot traffic in, and so I think that's great. Where we differentiate ourselves is the experience we provide. So that's the other thing. Besides pricing, authority, it's experience. What experience are you leaving the customer with? And this goes back to that nostalgia, that
Mm.
sentimentality of a roadside stand. We really tap into that and create that experience for the consumer. And then we talk to them at a level of expertise and authority where like, wow, they know what they're talking about. They know their peaches, they know their watermelon, they know their sourdough bread, whatever it may be, and we charge accordingly. So we never ever offer discounts unless it's like, we end up with an overabundance and something
Mhm.
is about to spoil, for example.
Mhm.
And that's happened to us a couple times this summer. We will discount at a bulk level because people love
Mhm.
that. But we don't ever make deals. We don't ever discount. We don't ever offer coupons because we want people to get value. So not only are
Right.
they paying a premium, but that they're getting a value and they know it because they love it. We're
Mhm.
the authority, we're the expert. So there's not a lot of fuss about pricing. We just
Mhm.
don't get that pushback, and we don't ever compete, like I said, against other vendors for pricing because that's just a race to the bottom. If you're
Mhm.
competing on price, you have nothing else. You have nothing else. So taking a step back and looking at what else you can compete on, is it your expertise? Is it the experience that you're providing? Is it
Right.
is it, going deep on a product? So another vendor may have, not only do they have sourdough bread, but then they have muffins and cookies and, jams and jellies. They have like 10 things that they're offering. Consumers can get a little bit of, choice fatigue. So we
Mhm.
we get really good on just a couple of things, keep it simple, and it keeps people coming back. I hope that answers the
Mhm.
question.
Yeah, I think the reason I was asking that question was more on like the spoilage, right? Like if you're about to lose, a crate of peaches, it might be better to just say, "Hey, I'm going to sell this bag of peaches for $5 instead of the 7 or something that you normally do to at least get that $5 and not lose the peaches and the
Yes.
revenue, so that was where I was coming from that, in terms of still getting a little bit of cash flow.
Yes.
But if it's
Yes.
something, like you said, that is not perishable, of course, I don't think that you really need to be, offering discounts or any of those things either, because like you say, you have a quality product and it is valuable, and your service is valuable too. So I think that's where I was coming from. And just in terms of, if you're not going to be able to get the revenue at all, or maybe you discount it and you still can sell it, a little bit of a price discount, in this case, then it might be worth doing that just to get that extra cash.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. We do, like, at the end of a weekend market, if we have anything left over, we do sell it for a discount in bulk, just to send it to its forever home. That's what we call it.
Right.
We have things that need a forever home. So if,
Mhm.
y'all come and get these cases of peaches, we're selling them for X number of dollars. And that we're very successful at that. Usually at the end, part of that too is understanding and forecasting your inventory levels, because you don't want to be left with too many
Right.
cases. Example, too much product at the end of a market. You want to just like sell out again, so that
Mhm.
it creates that concept of scarcity and exclusivity. But yes, absolutely, you want to recoup. And we talk about this a lot with other clients, how to we never throw anything in the garbage.
Mhm.
We've gotten so good at forecasting and selling what is left, that we never have any waste. The only thing we have
Nice.
is we recycle cardboard. Every
Mhm.
piece of produce goes to a producer or goes to a consumer. We never throw anything away anymore. And that takes a little bit of experience, to get
Mhm.
to that part.
Right. Well, I know we're coming to the end of the time we have together, so I wanted to ask if you have an offer that you would like to share to our listeners, and how can they connect with you if they would like more information?
Yes, absolutely. So, since we've been doing this 11 years now, during COVID, we sat down. I had mentioned to you, Candy, that we were teaching people one on one, face to face, how to open their own pop up shop. And during
Mhm.
COVID, we sat down and we wrote a course. We actually filmed it. And so it is an evergreen course where you can learn how to open your own pop up shop, roadside stand, or farm stand. And for your listeners, there is a discount code where they can get 50% off of the course. And the discount code is Peaches 2024. And it's PEACHZ
Mm.
2024. So when they go to roadsiderepublic.com, there are links to the course, and they can enter that discount code Peaches 2024, spelled with a Z, and get 50% off of the course. And the course is all, like I said, evergreen. They can consume it at their own schedule, but it teaches them everything from start to finish on how to do it, how to open their own pop up shop. And it has all of my resources that I created for myself, such as the cash flow worksheets, for the inventory forecasting. And so, Candy, I have, on the website, there's also a link to something called the Peach Calculator. And this is a calculator for people who are opening pop up shops. And they can put into the calculator their net profit that they want to earn, say over a summer or even annually. That calculator will then, based on the net profit that somebody wants to earn, calculate how many stands they need to open, how many days of the week they need to, have their pop-up shop open, how many hours in a day they should be open. It calculates everything, so at a quick glance, somebody can see if this business model opportunity meets their needs. So that's super cool. And that's a tool that I used initially when I got started, and actually still use today.
Okay, and where do they go? So I know you gave the code. Where do they go to put that code in to get that information?
Yes. So if they go to roadsiderepublic.com, there are links on our website to the course. And when they get to the checkout page on the course, they can enter that discount code PEACHZ, like zebra, 2024, and that will give them 50% off of the Roadside Republic Academy course.
Perfect. And if they want to connect with you any other way, do you have any social media you would like to share?
Yes, we are on Facebook, of course, as Roadside Republic. We're on Instagram as Roadside Republic. We have a Pinterest channel too. We're on TikTok. We do a lot of kind of lessons and tutorials and a day in the life and behind the scenes on TikTok. So that's a really good place to find us because you're going to get a lot of content there. And we're Roadside Republic on TikTok also.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Shannon, for being a guest on my show and sharing on this topic. It's, like I said, something I haven't really ever discussed before in terms of having pop-up shops. But I thought, again, just having the conversation, someone maybe either would decide, hey, that sounds like something I can actually do, or maybe they could just take the tips that you shared and apply it to their own business. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Candy. I appreciate it.
And to the listener, if you enjoyed today's topic and you want to hear additional information, you can find access to exclusive content in the show notes. Thank you for tuning in today. Would you please share this episode with those you know and leave a review on your favorite platform? And if you find our show informative, would you consider being a financial sponsor to help me continue my mission to educate business owners? A link is located in the episode description, and no amount is too small. I'd really appreciate your support. If you are interested in connecting with our guest and receiving the offer they had to share, a link to our resource page is in the show notes. Finally, if you have any bookkeeping or payroll needs, reach out to us at 310-534-5577 or contact@abandp.com. My team and I are eager to assist you. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Biz Help for You. Please join your host, Candy Messer, again next time. Have a terrific day.